Good afternoon, everyone. It is October 23rd, 2022. Globex is not open just yet. This will be a plan for the RTH sessions of Monday, the 24th, until Friday's close on the 28th. Before we actually go into the specifics on the week coming up, I want to just quickly go over what we've had on a much higher time frame. So, what you're looking at here is 3,300-ish. So, let's call it 3,400 up to about 4,400. So this 1,000 point range, and what we're kind of looking at in a larger time frame in regards to high time frame balance zones and where bulls and bears might have momentum. So let's go over what happened towards the end of last week. We had that huge sell-off on CPI news down to about 3,500. Caught a bid, ramped it up, sold off on the end of the day, but on Friday we sold off. Now, Monday, if we go into the Globux hours here, you can see we held that level right around 35.90. We ramped above 36.50, which was a weekly pivot for me. And that's where we really took off into the highs, kind of churned there for Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we had, I think, Wednesday after hours, Tesla had reported, and Thursday, we crapped out a little bit towards the end of the day. Once again, Globex held this 36.50 area where we did have that breakout bid. Let's just zoom in a little bit for you guys. There you go. You can see 36.48 was the number I had. So 36.48 where we had that initial ramp, and then we sell off during the RTH, and Globex catches another bid, and that's when we had the trend up day into the close. I had a daily level at 72.75, and that's where we just about hit at the end of the day, and now we'll see if we sell off from there or not. Now, going back to that high time frame view, I was in favor of October tagging somewhere around 34.34. We did not get that. About 70 points shy. I thought we'd come down to here. It's roughly around that pre-COVID high. Pre-COVID high being 93-ish. We did not get it. Instead, I think we end up trapping a lot of shorts on that CPI news, and it looks like we might have liftoff. Now we are trading within October's highs for now. However, if we do break it, we will be back inside this original balance zone we'd created. We'll be back inside this zone that you see here. I think that would be a case for acceptance within that zone if we are trading above 38.21. I think you can say you're inside the 3700s pretty comfortably. And to me, you'd be targeting this part of the balance zone, the ultimate high being 39.65-ish. But I think you would target this area where we built a lot of inventory before selling off. I think this was FOMC, or maybe it was another CPI, or I can't recall what it was, but this was a news day, if I recall correctly, where we had built up a lot of inventory and then crapped out. So if we break these highs a month, I think you start to have some, instead of having bearish momentum like we've had below these balance lows, below this, let's call it 37.50-ish, it's been fairly bearish. It's had a bearish tilt to our overall trading intraday and within the week. However, once you get over the highs of the month, not only have you broken obviously the monthly highs, but you've also come back inside the lows of this balance, and now you generally have this trend targeting 39.62. So I will be looking for a nice two-way trade between this area if we do crack the October highs. And if we do get over 39.62, that puts me back in the mode to think that we're going to clean up this gap around up to 4,100. And it's a little too far out to say, but perhaps even the gaps up to 4,200 or so. Now, let's go into the actual weekly plan here. What am I looking at? Again, I'm bringing up that number, 36.48. This will not be a pivot per se. I would hate to have two pivots on the screen, but hell, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is 36.48 as being a pivot. Why is that? That puts us inside of not the week we just completed, but the week prior to that. That puts us inside that week's value area high. It puts us below our RTH lows of the week, below the prior year's low, below our weekly value area low. below monthly VWAP as well. It puts us below a lot of higher time frame key reference points. I thought about making this sort of claim of below 3,500 trading if we even got below 3,687-ish, but I think there is a chance bulls still manage to save it. But overall, what I'm thinking is, if you get below the pivot, you might be able to salvage it to the long side above 3687. But once you get below that, I think you really start having some bearish momentum. As long as you're trading within sort of this area, this let's call it 3700 to I don't know, let's call it 3700 to 3800 to make things easy. As long as you're trading within this 100-point zone, I think you have some largely two-way trade from day to day. Before that, we were talking on a higher time frame. This is now day to day. I think you have some two-way trade. Once you start getting below this 3680 area, that's when I think the bulls start to lose it. I doubt it, but they might have one final shot at saving it around 3648. But I think in reality, what happens is you come to that Globex Open last Sunday around 3590, 3587 was my level, and I think you end up losing it to the downside and spending a day or two cleaning up this area down to 3500, and then seeing if we can go tag lower prices at that 3434 again, which I discussed on the higher time frame. It's worth also noting that this week we do have quite a bit of news. Flash services PMI on Monday, Yellen got yapping at 11 o'clock. Tuesday, consumer confidence, which is a big one. Wednesday, home sales, a smaller one. A Thursday, advanced GDP, pretty big. Friday, core PCE, also pretty notable. So what I'll be looking for this week is, to the downside, can we hold 35.50? If we can't, I will be looking for us to trade 87. If we lose 87, I think you will likely, if we lose 30 around these 80s, I think you do end up losing this 50-ish area and coming down to eventually get into the 3500s. To the upside, if you hold 35-ish, I think we take out our monthly highs around 3820, and you start getting into these upper levels, cleaning out the FOMC spike base, which I talked about so many times. I can't remember what number it was right now. I definitely do have it noted somewhere. It might be this 30-ish number. I think you come and clean this out, this whole FOMC area from about 3830 to 3900. I think you spend a day cleaning this out, at least maybe even 2 days, and then we see if we can get into higher price around this 68 number, and kind of that's right around our higher time frame weekly pivot here. You can see it side by side. Let's kind of line them up as best as we can. So I think you spend a day or two cleaning out this area, and you can see it on the left-hand side as well. If you do get above the highs of the month, I think you spend some time cleaning out that FOMC spike base up to kind of the spike high, and then we see if we can accept over this pivot here at 3960-ish. And if we can, then we start talking about 4,000s and the gap closing this and that. But I doubt it'll happen this week. I think that's all I have for you guys. I know this video is getting kind of long at 9 minutes, but that is how I'll be looking at the week and trying to get an idea as to where momentum is and to be on the right side of it. I'm all for catching knives or shorting rockets and this and that, but for the large part, I want to be on the correct side of the overall higher time frame momentum when I am trading intraday, and that's how I'm seeing it. So I would keep my eyes on the key numbers of 37.35, 36.80-ish, likely to break the lows of the week. And then to the upside, I would watch sort of this 3800 area to 38. I think 3810 is kind of my number here for a break into the new highs of the month and then coming up higher. Hope that makes sense. If there are any changes to this, which I don't think there will be, it will be posted to Twitter for any updates, and the link to that is in the bio. Trade safe and have a great week.